Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Just want to see what's happening here. Right, so there's a poll that I've added on tonight, so you can see that. Right, so good evening. Welcome to this week's weekly message from Spirit. It's lovely to be here with you and to join you again. As I said, I've added a poll, so if you'd like to fill that in, that would be great for me. I'd appreciate that. I'm just trying to try and get it off my screen. Oh, sorry, I can't get off my screen. Anyway, sorry, I'm faffing around with with technology, my nemesis. So, how are you all doing? It's I've been a little bit ill over the last few days. I'm not 100% sure what's wrong, but been quite exhausted. So trying to connect in and see what's going on for me. It's definitely more physical than energetic. But if it feels like I'm a little bit lower tonight or flatter, that's probably what you're picking up, if you're those of you that are intuitively based. So, right, let us see. I'm just trying to get you so I can see. Okay, so there we go. Stephanie says, welcome back. I've been back a little while from last week. All right, hello. Welcome. So we're going to start off tonight. Last week's full moon energy was pure magic. It has really been a really amazing time to connect in with yourself, and certainly through many of the readings that I'm doing for people at this point in time, there's this deep wisdom around connecting to your inner voice and to your own truth. Truth speaking remains a focus area and a sort of prompt that Spirit is bringing forward. So we'll see what it is they would like to tell us tonight and to offer us tonight. I'm going to start off with the crystal that came forward tonight. And it's a beautiful crystal. I unfortunately don't have a big piece of it here, but the crystal is the ruby. So this is a beautiful card by Alana Fairchild. It's got a mandala for the ruby, and you'll see this word, the inner queen. This is a piece of ruby that I have. It's very hard to see it. It is actually this sort of very blood red, deep red. It's a very similar energy to the garnet. So this is a garnet. You can see on the garnet, it's a bit of a bigger piece, and you can see sort of that reddish sheen that comes forward. And the ruby, the energy of the ruby, it's obviously got this other, you can pick up a little bit in the light, how it's got like that sort of pinkish reddish sheen to it. The energy of the ruby is very much a sort of deep feminine, like a goddess energy, like the queen energy. It's definitely got a royalty to it. So it's about presence. And when we're talking about royalty, I suppose what happens if we think of royalty from an archetypal perspective, it's like this presence. Like, I've never, I doubt we've ever seen a queen walk in and go like, all demurely sit in the corner and hide away. There's this presence, there's this notice me, pay attention to me. And it's kind of honoring the status of you, the stature of you, the gift of you, and taking this into the way you show up in the world. And so that's what the ruby is. It's about like a sort of a connection with this inner spirit of you, like the queen, the king, the goddess, whatever you want to call it, the presence of you. And so this is a lot about owning your presence. The other thing that comes forward very much with the ruby is it's a lot around compassion and kindness. So this is about not being ruthless, not being demanding in that power, but being gentle and noticing it. Think of like a Mandela kind of energy that comes forward with this presence. You can't miss him, but he's gentle in his compassion and his kindness towards other people. And so the playing with this power and compassion and bringing power and compassion together. What does compassionate power look like? This is a lot to do with the energy of the ruby. The other part of it is owning your life force. So it's very much got this bloodness to it, this blood energy in it. And this is about owning the life force. So that with your life, there's this pumping of life through you. And do you own your life? Like, are you owning your power? Are you owning your presence? Are you owning your grace? Margaret, does it make a difference if the ruby is cut? No, ruby energy is ruby energy. You can work with it. So this is obviously a more raw kind of ruby. We know the ruby that comes with the sort of jewelry kind of thing. The more a crystal has been worked with, though, the more it's manipulated, the more it takes on a slightly different dimension of energy, but it still holds at its core the energy of its essence. And so a raw crystal is always going to be more authentically in its power than a manipulated crystal, but it's no less useful because, working with the impacts of man as the man-made crystals and crystals that have been manipulated by man, these are very powerful because it includes in it creativity and value and worth. I mean, a ruby is a very, very profoundly valuable gemstone. Gemstones are not necessarily the same as crystals. There's a more glass-like quality to gemstones, but they're all within the same family, and I'm not going to be doing a crystal course tonight, but that maybe answers your question, Margaret, so thank you for that. Right, so let us see. Pleasure. So it's absolute pleasure. If you guys would like more information about crystals, then let me know, and we can always make a plan to do some work around that sometime. Okay, so I'm going to connect in with my guides and pull forward the 3 messages for this week, the 3 cards. The cards are going to be available for sale. I'll be putting up a link this week, so I have put a poll if you'd like a set of cards. It'd be lovely to know, but I'll be putting up a link so you can pre-order them. They're going into production soon, so you can get your very own set of cards to work with. And then the other very exciting thing is I'm creating a podcast around the cards. So you'd be able to pick the podcast is called I Am Lightwalker, pick 3 cards, and you'll be able to pick 3 cards and go and listen to sort of a 5 or 6 messages from me about that card that includes messages from the divine and exercises that you can do around that. So that's a lovely way to connect with spirit. So watch out for both of those things. They'll be published shortly in the next week or 2. It's just working on the background logistics and admin around that. Right, so let us connect with my guides. I'm going to call forward and ask that messages that support the highest good of all come forward tonight. And I'll pick 3 cards. The first card is what do we need to pay attention to this week? The second card is what support is available for you this week? And the third card is what opportunities exist for you this week? Right, so what do we need to pay attention to this week? And the card that's come forward is wholeness. Embrace all the parts of you. When we're getting the message around the ruby, it was about embracing this power. And one of the things we can see in this sort of yin yang that's on this card, and we can see the yin yang is also the symbol on this card. It is about embracing the masculine and the feminine. And I've been getting so many messages about this, about ending the war of the masculine to the feminine, internally and externally, and really noticing your own perspective of what you view as masculine and what you view as feminine. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about it from a sexual perspective. I'm talking about this from the way male energy or masculine energy is portrayed and the way feminine energy is portrayed. And within that, noticing what is the sort of wounds of that and the discrepancies and the challenges of that. And every time we try and prove that women are better than men or men are better than women, we are engaging in a separation kind of energy. And that separation is the war of the sexes, essentially. Even though you may not know you're doing it, it could be as simple as saying, well, women are better doing this, men are better doing that, or you know what men are like, or you know what girls are like. Every time we're doing this, we perpetuate a story of separation. And that separation then exists within us, where we judge our own masculine and feminine energy and hold them in separateness from ourselves. And when we have so let's imagine I position it this way. A masculine energy may be quite sort of loud, and a feminine energy might be quite soft. We can't say loud is good and soft is bad, or vice versa, because loud is appropriate sometimes and soft is appropriate at other times. It's the same if we go into decisive or surrendered, or logical or intuitive. None of these are good or bad or right or wrong. They all serve. And the holisticness, the wholeness of us, of embracing this yin and yang within us and allowing ourselves to play with it. This has got to be one of the most important things we can be doing with our own energy at this point in time, with our own healing. And every time we judge feminine or masculine traits outside of us, it's a message of something we're judging within ourselves. So even as a female, when you're going to and you're judging other females, she's such a girl, she's such a princess, oh, she's just whatever it is. And I mean, we can go into so many versions of this. We are negotiating something in our own psychology as one being right and one being wrong. That's a lot of wordiness. Let me try and put it in a simpler word. We are judging something inside ourselves. And so this union of ourselves and pulling ourselves into our own internal marriage, that there is no aspect of ourselves that's good and there's no aspect of ourselves that is wrong. What we need is appropriateness. We need appropriateness as to when to use which aspects of ourselves. And in this, then we can start coming into the fullness of our own power. And that fullness starts taking us into the divine masculine and the divine feminine, being the goddess and the God. And so remember, the Ruby was asking us to look at sort of the internal queen or king. It's this presence of our own divinity within us. And so what needs to be paid attention to this week is any way that we're separating ourselves or others in the world through this masculine feminine dynamic that's going on at this point in time. Oh, thank you, Natasha. That's a lovely, I just saw your message pop up and that was something very nice to read. So thank you. I appreciate that. So the card in terms of what support is available for us this week. What do we need to access in terms, and so the support is, the divine is always supporting us. There's always support available. The trick is, do we allow ourselves to receive it, and do we ask for it, and do we notice it? Do we engage with the vulnerability of receptivity? Do we let ourselves receive? Because it's very vulnerable to receive support, to be helped, to be guided, to be loved, to be nurtured, to be cared for. It's vulnerable. It's a very, very difficult thing for us, many of us, to do, because we're stuck in this independence. And again, this is a sort of war of the masculine and feminine within us. And so what support is available for us this week, and I know some of you that are online have found this to be very beneficial before this card, it's call back your spirit. Call back your spirit. And your spirit is this part of you that is sort of in compassion to you. Yeah? I mean, one of the things that very few people know, and when I teach lifting the veil, it's one of the exercises I do, is to take people through a journey, especially when they're working with angels. And it's to find a connection to our guardian angel. So most of us have heard of this concept of our guardian angel, the guardian angel that is the sort of protective part of ourselves. And when I take people on a journey to meet their guardian angel, what they're always surprised about, and I'm giving it away in this, is that it's you. It is your higher self. It is your spirit. Like, you are your highest angel to you. That all the other angels are in service to the guardian angel of you, and the guardian angel in you is your divine self, your higher self. It's the spirit of you. And when you know that you have your own back, when you connect with the spirit of you, you have your own back. You have your own connection to a supportive, kind, nurturing, compassionate warrior soul that is you. And it's your spirit in this lifetime is a sliver of that. It's a tiny little piece of that manifesting itself in this lifetime. And your guardian angel being your divine self, Diana Cooper calls it your monad. It encompasses you and surrounds you in your own grace. And when we call on ourselves, when we call our spirit into us, and we notice this connection to ourselves, we actually don't need guidance from any other source. We don't need support from any other source, not in the intrinsic sense of it, but being in the internal sense of it. And so this is a calling to connect back to your heart, connect back to your spirit, connect back to yourself, and to Call yourself to yourself. And you can do that as a meditation. You can sit in quietness and imagine a cord going out from the top of your crown chakra all the way, and you can follow it to meet your guardian angel. When you do, to pull that energy of your spirit into you and to allow yourself to bask in this, to be comforted by this, to be supported by this energy of you. Your spirit is your own best friend. Your spirit is your own comforter. Your spirit is your own supporter. And actually, all the other divine work we do, connecting to angels, guides, people crossed over, and all those sorts of things, they are intermediaries. They are like telephone connections to this higher self of you. And when we walk with our spirit in us, then we are so divinely guided. So this accessing your spirit is part of the support that is available for you tonight. Right, so what is the opportunity that exists this week? One of my favorite cards that haven't come up yet, I think, on this reading, on the weekly messages. Be peace. Isn't this a beautiful image? Isn't it? Just if you just sit in sort of reflection of this image, of these two beautiful rose sort of candles, and one is light in the other. And a sort of idea of spreading the light, of basking in the glow of our own light, and knowing that we're all connected through this light source, and to be at peace, that there is no such thing as separation. You know, every masculine, feminine divide that we've been talking about, and this we can take further into every racial divide, every way that you separate yourself from someone else. Every time you look at another person and you wonder what is different about them to you, and you judge that in them, is a way of separating yourself and causing judgment in the world, and this breeds unhappiness. And when we connect in and we notice what's the same, that's what namaste is, you know, the spirit in me honors the spirit in you, is that we then connect and we build up this union, this connection, this partnership. Now, the paradox of this, which is the complexity of this, is that we also need to value our own contribution to the world and notice who we are in the story, like a puzzle piece. But the more you are at peace with knowing that you don't need to be in competition with anybody else, in separation to anybody else, the more you can demonstrate peace to the world. Now, I meet so many peacekeeping souls. Peacekeeping souls are souls that have come to earth to create peace on earth. Without a doubt, these souls find themselves in my room frequently. Clearly because it's part of the work that I do, is to spread peace on earth. But the idea for peacekeeping souls is a difficult one, because we have been so programmed on earth to think that the only way to create peace is by fighting. I must fight for the animals. I must fight for the feminine rights. I must fight for this. I must stand up for what's wrong. And what is true is standing up for what is not good in the world is a very important part of being a peacekeeping soul. But to fight for it, fighting is the opposite energy of peace. So learning how to stand up with compassion, stand up with a strong voice, being able to speak your truth, but without being critical and judgmental and discriminatory in yourself. This is the way we bring peace to earth. And you know, it's one of my bugbears. I say bugbears because it comes forward from spirit all the time, is that we have this amazing tool called the World Wide Web at our disposal. We have social media that can be used for good and or for bad. And if you notice that this is a way of spreading messages in the world, what are the messages you spread out in the world? Do you use it as a venting of all that you're angry about, or do you use it as a tool to create peace and connection and harmony? And every time you contribute to every piece of social media that goes out in the world, you're either contributing to separateness or oneness, either contributing to war or peace, and somewhere in between that, so we don't live in a black and white experience of this. So the message of the opportunity this week is to spread peace. Be peace. Stand up for what's important for you in the world in a peaceful way. Right. Perfect. What a beautiful reading. It certainly resonated with me and gave me a lovely perspective. So, those of you that are joining for the first time, I'm going to be moving on to doing readings for those that ask. Please know that I get called, I'm intuitively guided as to who I give the readings to, and that is based on who's going to get messages that most support the greatest good of all. So if you're not called, it does not mean that there isn't a message for you. It just may be in somebody else's message. So listen to other people's messages and see what connects for you and what resonates for you. If you found this to be valuable and you'd like to share this out, invite friends to it, and if you feel so called to do a review on my page, I'll be very grateful for that. But other than that, I just offer this out of a place of genuine love to each soul that connects here. Right, so I also don't scroll back up. So if you want a reading, please just keep asking, and if it's meant to be, it will be. And if you're not called, there is still a message for you. Right, so there we go. Let us start here. Jenny van Deventer. Taryn, I've been thinking of moving home. Am I doing the right thing? Please, can I be guided? Okay, Jenny, so let's connect in with your guides and see what they want to tell you. Jenny, what's really important is that the free will to make the decisions of what you want to do, that's the most important thing that the guides always nurture. So very seldom will they give a yes/no answer, but they will give you a perspective of things to notice in this decision-making process, in this journey you're going through. All right, so Jenny, the card that's come forward is your power lies in your vulnerability. I just want to check, you can all see the cards okay, hey? Because on my screen, this little pole covers half the screen. So I know before, I think somebody's told me they can see it fine. All right, so your power lies in your vulnerability. Jenny, when your male guide comes forward, and that's the one that's stepping forward tonight, he steps forward with this thumbs up kind of energy. So if I had to take the thumbs up and give it to you, it's like a validation. It's saying you're on the right track. It's saying things are going well. But with this also comes a sort of real way of him showing that your instinct is to stay in your comfort zone. So, and this is true for many of us, if not all of us, is that whenever we go through any kind of change, there's disruption, and that disruption brings about a lot of vulnerability. And that vulnerability is an important energy. Vulnerability is the energy of fear in action, really. It's that, you know, your life is not the way it has been before. And so in that vulnerability, we find courage. And when we find courage, there's a part of ourselves that we re-engage with and reignite and re-energize, I think is the word he wants to use. So every part of what he's saying is he's showing change is good for you. Disruption is good for you. Moving through things is good for you. And letting go of the comfort zone that you're in is good for you. But it does not mean it's easy. And in that process, you may need to receive support, get guidance, do whatever you need to in terms of your natural instinct to go back to, if it doesn't feel easy, not doing it. Is that when there's change, there's disruption, it doesn't always feel easy, but that vulnerability, it creates a space for you to learn about something new in yourself. So that's the message it's giving you. I get a big thumbs up, but it doesn't mean it's an easy decision or an easy path. So I hope that makes sense for you, my darling. Thank you, Margaret. Ruth Ritchie, I'd love to hear a message, please, Taryn. Right, Ruth, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. Oh, so many messages coming forward that I'm being pulled to, so just keep asking. See, right, Ruth, I'd love to hear a message. Cool. Pleasure, Jenny. I'm glad that it was helpful for you. All right, Ruth. The card that's coming forward for you is choose to trust. I asked a question and then delete. Notice. All right. Choose to trust, Ruth. This is the message that's coming forward for you. If you have a look at this card, you will see the cube. And the cube is a sacred geometry stone symbol that's about stability. It's about embracing it's a solid sort of energy. And they really want to bring your awareness to this, is that this sort of knowing that you are able to navigate life. If we think about being solid, it's about being grounded. It's about taking action. It's about feeling strong. And feeling strong is not about being strong. So I want to make sure that distinction is very clear, because they're saying it's a very important message, is feeling strong is not about being strong. There's so many of us that walk around trying to be strong, be brave, do these things, but it's a protective mechanism that we're avoiding sort of the vulnerability, and which flows from the reading that's just been done. So being strong is not the same as feeling strong. And so feeling strong comes from a knowing that you are safe and knowing that you are able to deal with whatever life throws your way. When you can step into the efficacy of life, efficacy is knowing that I can deal with anything that comes my way. That's what self-efficacy means. Anything that comes my way, I can deal with it. This is a feeling strong in a world where you may not be strong. And it's not then about protecting yourself, defending yourself, being at war. It's about feeling resourceful in your life. And so your guides are very much saying what's going on in your life is to notice where you are defending yourself rather than going into your bravery and the strength of knowing that you can actually deal with what's going on in your life. It may not always be easy, but you can certainly have all the resources you need to deal with what's going on. When I say all the resources you need, this can include asking for help. This can include asking for guidance. This can include letting others support you in ways that you may not like being supported. But you can trust that you are strong, even when you don't need to be strong, and even when you're not feeling strong. You are brave enough to get through your life. I hope that makes sense for you, my love. Right. Stephanie, with love, guidance, I'm facing the hardship of losing my beloved grandpa. Oh, Stephanie, I'm so sorry to hear about your grandpa. Sending you much love through this time of reconnection, because that's really what happens, is we get to reconnect with our loved ones in a different way, but that connection is different. It's a bit like, before we'd be able to sit and have coffee with or tea with them every day, and then, now we get to connect with them in a different way. All right, Stephanie, let us see what is coming forward for you. All right. Okay, so the card that's come forward, sorry, I was just trying to see if your grandpa would come forward with a message for you, but he's not. He's sitting quite on the outside, and that's a message in itself. It's not because he doesn't want to connect with you. He's just not a fan of public places. So he's quite a private guy, and he's like, I don't want to do this online kind of thing. It's quite funny. He's like, just tell her it's cool, I'm here. But he doesn't want to spend any more time doing anything. And it's really more because of his privacy frames than anything else, or maybe yours. But everything that happens is an opportunity for your growth. That is the message that's coming forward here. So everything that happens is an opportunity for your growth. And when we see the picture here, we see this beautiful lotus flower. And a lotus flower, it's well worth sharing a message again, because it's it's something that comes forward often. Is the lotus flower is the flower that has this tiny little stem that has to push through the very dark, muddy water, making its way towards the surface, towards the light. It's guided by the light. And when it gets to the surface, it's got much stronger, and it's strong enough now to hold the blossoms, to hold what is this beautiful flower that manifests itself. And so by pushing its way through the darkness towards the light, it gains its strength. And this is the metaphor of like nothing that comes into our lives is ever a reward or punishment. Everything creates an opportunity of our own perspective. Everything that comes into our life shifts our perspectives and introduces us to parts of ourselves again that we didn't know existed. So I can guarantee you, because I know this from my own life, that you have sat in your life and there are many things that you have said, I'm not sure I will ever be able to deal with. I'm not sure I'll be able to cope with that. And when it does, you do. And when you do, you have more compassion, more empathy, more sympathy, more love for yourself and for others. And so this pain that you experience, it's not about taking away the pain. It's about immersing yourself in the pain. There's no way to get away from grief. Grief becomes your friend. You learn how to walk with grief. And grief is part of the process of helping us learn how to stay connected to love. And when we separate ourselves from love because the grief is too painful, then we don't stay connected to our truth. And so they're saying, remain open-hearted, feel the pain. Let yourself feel what needs to be felt. And there's something about your grandfather's death that's going to teach you a lot about yourself in a spiritual way. This doesn't mean that's why he passed now. This is more about what his role in your life has always been as a catalyst for your growth. And you remain a catalyst for your growth at this point in time. So I hope that helps, my darling. Sending you so much love. Carol Watson. Let us see. Carol Watson, I saw you there. Carol Watson, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. Yeah, what is it that is a message for you? You really need guidance and direction. Right. Oh, I'm glad. All right. Okay, Carol. I laugh because you've seen this card earlier, and so they're going to say a little bit of ditto. Call back your spirit. Call back your spirit. The guides are coming forward, and they. It's very funny what they're doing. I apologize because they're sometimes quite humorous when they come forward. And they're showing me, you know, those black balls. I think they're called the 8 balls or something. It's a black ball, and you shake it, asking a question, and you throw it. And it says yes, no, maybe, don't know. I mean, we tend to do a similar thing with our pendulums. Yes, no, maybe, don't know. And the idea with these sort of balls or these sort of tools that we use is a sort of external way to acknowledge or give us the decision making. And the reality is that the only way they help is sometimes they say yes to something that you know it's a no. And you're like, no, let me do it again because that's not what I want to do. And so it forces us to get honest by ourselves, not because it's giving accurate data, but almost because in the data it gives the answer. It's a little bit like, you know, when you say you don't mind what you're getting and then suddenly you don't get it and then all of a sudden you know. And so they kind of are catalyst for you connecting to your truth. It's the same when we do a pendulum, it's the same when we do any of these sorts of external decision-making tools, is the only benefit of them is to notice what we want the answer to be. And when we can notice what we want the answer to be, we're much closer to knowing our truth. I mean, I had a reading the other day, and the guide said, it's not true when anybody says, I don't know what to do. That we walk around as human beings and we use these words, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. The honest answer is, I know exactly what I want to do, I'm just not sure I'm allowed to. So I'm looking for somebody to say you can do this, or offering a perspective and that sort of thing. So I suppose the long way that they're getting to a message for you, Carol, is that when you are connected, you know what your direction is. You know what steps you need to take. A better question would be, what's stopping me from taking it? Or how do I get brave enough to take it? Or how do I face the consequences of taking these steps? But they're saying they really, really, really want to encourage you to notice that you do know which direction to go in. And when you connect to your spirit, it's often not the most logical answer, but it is the thing you most yearn for and you most long for and the thing you most want to explore in this life. So I think, Carol, the overwhelming message is to follow what you know to be true and to do that, yeah? Zeni, greetings from Vietnam. Oh, sorry, it's been a rough couple of weeks, Zeni. It's not always fun. Let us see what your guides would like to tell you, my darling. Right. So those of you that were online earlier and still want readings, just ask. I know it sometimes feels frustrating to sit through other people's readings, but the messages are there for you too, yeah? Okay, Zeni, let's see what your guides want to tell you. Oh, it's another message that we've had already tonight. So there seems to be a little bit of that going on. Everything that happens is an opportunity for your growth. Everything that happens is an opportunity for your growth. I'm not sure if you were online earlier when I was talking about this card and the lotus flower, but what your guides are bringing forward is a real connection with the seed of life. The seed of life is a sacred geometry symbol that is really forms the basis of all growth. If we look at DNA cells, if we look at plants, if we look at the way everything sort of starts to build, it ends up in the seed of life. And the seed of life can be found in pretty much everything that exists. And it's a growth hormone. And so they show me you in being quite a sort of amplified growth phase of your life. Not necessarily on a spiritual level only, but very much on a physical and emotional level. And so you're going through quite a sort of shake up, things that previously you could have just ignored because you were in kind of a very sort of safe space, is it's been shaken up, a little bit like being in the sort of like washing machine of life, and it's shaking things up. And this is kind of like dislodging things. It's getting things to be like, I keep getting like big shake up, wake up, a shake up, wake up call. And so it's important to know that this does not mean that you're doing something wrong. It does not mean that your frequency is in the wrong place. So like there's questions you're asking about why it's so difficult. And that's because you've asked for growth. You've asked for transformation. You've made some decisions that you want to transform your life into an alternative style of life. And so things that need to be noticed are being shaken up. So try as much as you can, they're saying, to not resist anything, to step into what's being shaken up. And when it gets shaken up, like what gets dislodged, when it gets dislodged, what gets noticed, when it gets noticed, what's available. And so this is a great time for growth. Growth is not always comfortable. Growth is not always easy. So I hope that makes sense for you, Zeni. And it's actually a beautiful place, even though it doesn't feel like it. Karen Steele, let's see, Karen, how are you doing, love? Right, let's see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. All right. Okay. So you want to know, am I on the right track? You cannot be on the wrong track. I promise you cannot be on the wrong track. But let's see what this track has in store for you. Okay, so this is explaining why the energy is dipping, because the messages are becoming quite repetitive, which means that the messages, they're wanting us to honor the messages that are coming forward. Call back your spirit. Call back your spirit. In a very simplified version of this card, Karen, it's about trust what you know to be good for you. If it feels good, it can't be wrong. You cannot do your life wrong. The connected part of you, the spirit part of you, the part of you that is your intuition, that is your inner guidance system, will not lead you down a path that is bad for you. Our fear can. Our fear can get us to walk away from things that are really good for us. Yeah? And that analytical mind can. It can block us from stepping into the things that are good for us. But when you connect it to your spirit, it will never lead you down a path that is wrong for you. You cannot be on the wrong path. And so trust. If it feels good, it is good. If it feels light, it is good for you. If it feels heavy, there's something to change, either your attitude, your approach, or something that's going on. So trust your spirit, and you are connected to it. You just need to trust it. Yeah. Pleasure, Zeni. It's exactly what you're saying. It's not bad. It's just new, and it's something that you're going to play with. Yeah. All right. Wendy Brooks, how you doing, Wendy? Nice to see you on here. Let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. Right. Let's see if there's any new cards, because they're quite clear that the messages are very clear tonight. And that the first message is the message that you can work with. All right, Wendy, you're going to know what this is all about. Appreciate the beauty of your life. Appreciate the beauty of your life. I have to giggle because, pleasure, Karen. You know, so many of us long for abundance. We long for joy. We long for peace. We long for happiness. And then when we have it, we fear it, or we feel, more specifically in your case, guilty about it. If we have a life that we enjoy, we feel guilty about it, and we wait to see, when it's going to be taken away from us. And this is why so many of us are addicted to struggling. Is that struggling means that we're fighting our way through the world. And Wendy, the message comes forward for you is that there's so many aspects of your life that are flowing and easy and good, and enjoying it and allowing yourself to appreciate the beauty of it, and really, really, really noticing that guilt robs you of this. Guilt takes you into a frequency that stops the world from enjoying the beauty of you. Oh, I love that. Guilt robs you. Guilt takes away the opportunity for the world to appreciate the beauty of you. Is that you have magnificent gifts. You have a beautiful voice. You're here to express yourself in exactly the way that you are doing it, and to appreciate the beauty of you and your life, and to really, really, really drop the guilt of it, because there's no need to feel guilty for anything that's easy, anything that's beautiful, anything that's lovely, anything that's good in your life. And it's an important message that's come forward, and you're the catalyst of it for many, is that there is no need to struggle. I had a client sitting in my room today, and she was like, I'm in such a good place. Her and a colleague were comparing the things on your arm or eye thing, and her stress levels are way down. And the guy that was talking to her was like, sure, you've got to get those back up. How are you getting it so peaceful at the moment? And she's feeling so guilty because she's not feeling stressed at this point in time. This is completely funny to the guys. We monitor our success by our misery, and by our stress, and by our struggle, and by our heartbreak. We don't need to. It can be easy. It's supposed to be lovely. And when we can just appreciate it when it is, and the things in our lives that are lovely, then life is so much simpler, so much more beautiful. So Wendy, thank you for asking, because they're saying that that's an important message for everybody. Right, anybody else here that would like a message tonight? It definitely feels like a lot of the messages are ones that have resonated and already supporting people. Kieran Nell Murray, career advice, please. Career advice. Let us see what your guides would like to tell us about. All right, Kieran Nell. Beautiful card, one of my favorites. Be brave. Wow, pleasure, Wendy. Be brave. When you see this, I suppose she's like a warrior woman, and we have a look at this card. And I've spoken about this card before in the way that I'm about to talk about it now, but they want me to reaffirm it. You see that she's standing here ready. I mean, she's ready and able and willing to do whatever she needs to do on this journey that she's about to embark on. She's prepared. And we see here this sunrise or sunset that is here. We don't know, but what we do know is at sunrise and sunset, there's transformation. And so as we move through times of transition, there's a need to go on a journey, to move through it, and to be brave. Now, be brave does not mean fight. It just means a stand in your power. I mean, look how amazingly beautiful she is. She's like this feminine goddess that just is ready to go through her pilgrimage to do what needs to be done. So I suppose they say, you know what this message means, as you've even seen it, as resonated with you, that there is a time of transformation, there is a time of transition for you. And you're brave enough to walk the path, you're brave enough to take the steps to do what needs to be done. And that could be brave, sometimes brave is staying where you are. So it's not a necessary message of you must move or you must stay. It's about be brave. It's about own your energy, own your space. So I hope that made sense. I see you said wow. So hopefully that resonates for you. All right, Lucy Page. Let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. I think we're getting close to the end of the energy tonight. So that seems to be closing down a little, as it does when it's time. Oh, I'm glad, Caramel. All right, Lucy. Turn and face anything you are avoiding. Turn and face anything you are avoiding. Okay, so the way this card has been positioned, the way this message has been positioned for you is it's not avoiding something that you're trying to run away from in the sense that it's bad. In this case, Lucy, it's avoiding your gifts. It's avoiding your gifts. So turn and face your gifts. Turn and face your beauty, the thing that you have to do. It's like there's a resistance to embracing how magnificent you are. And so you discount yourself tremendously. And to turn and embrace your gifts and say, okay, I'm born to be amazing. I'm born to be brilliant. I'm born to stand out. I'm born to be me. Is to own that gracefully and to step into it and to stop resisting the spiritual gifts that you have at your disposal. Right, so I hope that makes sense for you. Cool, so I'm going to end off tonight's broadcast here. The guides are really showing shutting down the energy. They're saying the messages are very clear and it's been what everybody needs to hear. So we're going to end it off here. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you all next week. If you have any comments or reflections, please let me know. And if you'd love to do a review of this, that would be awesome. Otherwise, sending you all so much love. Namaste.